Welcome back to another weekly market review for F45Trading.com. This week we are discussing July 6th to the 10th. So summer is here. We are in the first week, and trading has not disappointed us. We can obviously see we are sort of in the summer consolidation that is pretty much par for the course right about this time of year. I mentioned that last week as well. What you're looking for when we get into these summer months is obviously price pretty much going sideways in the Forex markets, and that's pretty much exactly what we're getting right now. Obviously, this could change. This is probably going to shake loose. When is it going to do that? I would suggest it's probably going to start heating up towards the fall months once the election happens, like everybody's anticipating. But until then, keep your trades small. I've said this before, so this is obviously nothing new. I'm not going to repeat myself again. 20, 30, 40, 50 pip targets and be done with it. And in and out is kind of what you want to be focusing in on this week. And next week, same as last week. So looking at the US dollar, we're still in a range. At the time of this recording, it is again Sunday. It's Sunday evening. The markets have opened over in the Asian session, and it looks like they are pushing price down. Now, I'm watching this low here to see if they want to take that low from last Thursday. If we get price below that low, then my eye is going to go kind of to this low rate down here to see if they want to get below that. Typically what they'll do again is start the week off and they'll make either the low or the high of the week. So I want to see where Monday closes off here and then determine whether or not price is going to snap back into this range here or if it indeed is going to fall over. Now keep in mind last week some economic NFP numbers came out. A lot of other economic news came out, unemployment rate, etc., etc. A lot of numbers came out actually very, very good. Much, much better than what they have been. As we all know, we are progressing into the summer and a lot of countries are starting to ease their lockdowns. And so the economic forecasts are going to start getting better, which should prop up and provide more support to some of the dollar-based currencies. So just keep that in mind. If they are running things lower in here, it could be short-lived and they could snap this guy back up and want to run higher. But what my forecast is going to be is they're going to keep banging around in this range here for the next foreseeable future, at least probably the next 4 to 6 weeks anyway, which would put us kind of that right towards starting the end of August and then possibly even into September. So we could take out this low here. We could take out this low here. I doubt very highly we're going to get down to this low. But I would anticipate them running this low, and probably running these highs up here. So what I'm looking for this week is for price to decline. And again, I'm just sort of watching some levels to see where we're going to get. And then I would imagine we're probably going to snap back right up into the range right in here. Now, do we keep climbing back up and get above this level here? I would be anticipating that eventually. Do they do it this week? I don't know. What I want to do is just show you real quickly something here on the economic calendar. So we've got a pretty light economic week coming, news-wise, excuse me. So we start out on Monday. We've got the U.S. dollar ISM non-manufacturing. Now, have a look over here at the forecast. They're forecasting 50.0. The previous month was 45.4. So obviously the economic numbers are getting better. Now, if you go into the details on this, they'll tell you that anything that's 50 and above is very good for the economy, and it actually lends itself to, when numbers are above 50, to the economy expanding. Now, obviously, it's not too hard to expand from what we just came out of course, so any numbers better than what we had before are obviously going to be better. Which is going to, further increase the, stability of the U.S. dollar. So it shouldn't fall. So what I'm suggesting here is any numbers coming out, i.e. ISM, non-manufacturing. We've got some, crude oil inventories don't really affect things too much. We've got unemployment claims, obviously, on Thursday. And then we've got core PPI and PPI meeting minutes, which, again, look at the numbers here. We're pretty much anticipating better than previous numbers. So this is all good for the dollar, which in turn should strengthen it. So what I'm seeing here, they're selling into this currently to drop the market. I think what they're going to do is they're going to come down and sweep last week's low here from last Thursday. I'm going to take a look at this one here to see if they want to come down to it. I wouldn't necessarily expect it. I would kind of expect them to come down just below this low here, regain some support, and then probably push higher. Do they get above these highs here? You know, I don't know. Again, we're still kind of in the summer swing of things, so just getting into it. So I would just anticipate buying the lows and selling the highs. And if you're wrong every now and then, you know, it would probably be a fairly modest range, so you can certainly anticipate that. But just keep your targets short for the duration. So what does that look like down here? So again, these are the levels that I'm looking at here on the lower end. Again, from last week, last Thursday here, we've got a couple of lows right there. I would anticipate that they're going to take those out fairly easily here pretty soon. And then I think there's a good chance that they're going to return back down to this consolidation level. So I am watching here. If we get below that, then my eye will go right there for a sweep below those lows. But, you know, again, if you look at what we've been doing, you know, go back through the charts and look what we've been doing. Whoops, went a little bit too far. For the past, you know, 6 weeks or so, for most of June, we've come down, we hit a low, came back up, ran above old highs, came right back down into the range, rebalanced higher, came back, ran above old highs, came back down, swept the lows. Then we swept the highs, and then we swept the lows. Now we're coming back down again here. So I would fully anticipate them to sweep the lows and go back into the range, possibly sweep the highs, come back in the range, and so on and so on and so on. Okay. So that's what I mean by that. Okay, so I'm expecting more of the same, looking for these lows to get hit here fairly soon, and then I would like to see them rebound, possibly at this level in here. So that's what I'll be looking for. Obviously, my members will get the update as it happens, when it happens. So if price does come down below here, we can watch it and see if it wants to reach down here. But, you know, they're selling this thing off pretty good now. I think they're reaching for something very quickly to offset the market, and then they're going to snap it back up into the range because, you know, you look, we've got a couple nice little areas above here that I think price is going to reach for, and so on and so on. So we'll see what they want to give us here this week. But again, just take it easy, guys. It's summer, so hopefully you're enjoying yourself and you're not pushing it too much in the markets. EurUsd, we've got the same price action basically as the US dollar, except in reverse. Everything's consolidating right now. So this is pretty messy to trade. Obviously, we know that there's much better environments to trade in. But if we look, we've got a couple of lows down here. Just going to take this off, that were just run here last week. I believe this was last Wednesday. They just ran those lows there, and then price snapped right back into the range. And we've got a couple equal highs up here. They ran these highs just briefly last week there, last Thursday, and now where price is shooting off higher again. I kind of like EurUsd lower, only because I kind of like US dollar higher, and I believe the US dollar is going to get some strength coming in here pretty soon. But that should take EurUsd lower and underneath this low rate here. So if we lose these two lows here, 1169, 1170, I'm going to be looking for price to return back down to possibly the highs of this previous consolidation level. So that's what I'm looking at on EurUsd. Is that going to happen this week? No. Is it going to happen next week? Probably not. Is it going to happen eventually? I think so. I think we're going to get it probably maybe into summer, maybe going into September, maybe quicker. I don't know, but I would like to see them push down here. So this week here, what I'd like to see them do is run out this high, if we can, which would drop the US dollar obviously below this. Get back to below this low here, which would be good. I'd like to see them fail to go any lower, possibly rebalance back to this consolidation level, and then run higher, which would take EurUsd just above this high here, and then run it lower, and then sweep possibly below these lows here. That's what I'd like to see. Do we get that? We're just going to have to obviously wait and see. If we do get above this high here, I want to see if price can hold off at this resistance level up here. Basically, I'm on the 1 hour, so just have a look, whatever it is on your chart, this little consolidation area right there. I want to see if price can slam back up into that, run above this high, and then see if we get some, as I say, resistance, and price wants to come back lower. If we can, you know, again, I would certainly be targeting the highs of this consolidation area as a possible area for a target 1 if you did short this, and then these lows here as a possible area 2 for a target. So, and if we really want to get very extended, maybe this one here, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't worry about it this week too much. Okay, so that's what I see on EurUsd, GbpUsd. This one here, I wanted to see, and as I mentioned last week, I wanted to see what would happen when price came back down into here. We came back down just below these lows and price reversed. So what I want to see is what happens when if price gets above this high right here. I think if we get above this high, then there's a very good chance that GbpUsd could remain bullish and could remain a little bit stronger. Now they could consolidate this if they do decide to drop EurUsd. They could just work GbpUsd in a range, and I mean for the most part, I think most Forex pairs are going to be in a bit of a range for most of the summer. But I think GbpUsd could have a bit of a bullish propensity. So have a look at this area here. If we do run above this high here, let's start this one. If we run above this high from last Thursday, have a look at this high. These two highs here are very, very close. You can see that. I mean, they're just a couple of pips off right there. So I'm looking to see them pretty much run through both of them, and I want to see if price can stay above that level on a daily. If we can, I think there's a good chance that we could continue higher, which we could easily trade. But just keep your eye on those levels there. What I don't want to see is GbpUsd come back down to this green area. I don't want to see it go back down to this level in here. If it does, then we could run these lows here and possibly even take out this level here that I was looking at from last week, which I don't want to see. But if it does, we can plan for it. We just got to make sure we know which way it's heading once it's going there. But we're in a bit of a range right now, guys. So again, that's the theme. So what do we do when price is in a range? We buy the lows and sell the highs. So if price does pop up above this high right here, I would not anticipate price to continue to run. If it does, great. You could certainly look at getting in a trade on a retest. But I would suggest if, let's say, for example, you got long right here, I would be taking my profit above these highs here. Okay, and it's not very far away. I get that. It's only 60, 70 pips, 50 pips away. But again, we want to keep our targets in short ranges for the duration of the summer. Okay, so watch for that. EuroGBP also, one reason why I think they're going to consolidate GbpUsd is and possibly release euro, for a little while up into here, is we look at EuroGBP, we have a nice run up in here. So price consolidated here, shot up right to the area that I was looking for, maybe even a little bit higher, failed, and they just swept below this low here, right there last Friday. This, to me, is a fairly bearish setup here. So what I'm looking for to happen is for price to come back up a little bit higher and really not want to go much higher than the low from last, I think that's Monday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, last Tuesday. I'd like to see them stay below the low, or the close, I guess, from last Tuesday. So whatever that is on your chart, have a look at that, note it, and I'll note it here on mine. It's for all intents and purposes. So here, I'll give you the exact level. Low is 90.57. This is pretty close, 90.56. There we go. There's the low. So I want to see if price can hold, if this price can hold off and reject it, and then we send this lower. If we send this lower, then it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to send EurUsd lower, which I think is what's going to happen as it comes back into the range here, and it's going to send GbpUsd higher, which is what I mentioned before. Okay, so keep your eyes on that going forward. Now, there is a chance if GBP does run these highs here, we could come back down and slam back into the highs of basically this little consolidation at level right in there. So watch those two levels. I know I got a lot of lines on the chart here, guys, but you got to keep your eyes on them, okay, because they're fairly major price points, and we're going to see reactions at them. So watch here and watch what happens here. Okay, if we go below here, then I'm going to see what happens when price comes into this green area. If we lose that, we're going to go here, possibly go under here. Okay, if we stay above these two lines here, then we're going to go up into this range here. Okay, so that easy. Hopefully this week will give it to us. USCAD, we're still right in the middle of a range in USCAD. Same thing that I was talking about. I don't really like USCAD until it breaks out of here. However, that being said, you can see we slammed up into here and then just took those highs right there early last week, and then price has been falling off quite substantially. So if the US dollar does run higher, it's going to push USCAD higher by default. But you got to have a look at crude oil, okay? And if crude oil stays strong, USCAD probably won't go much higher, okay? So just be mindful of that, guys. You're going to want to make sure that you pay attention to those two markets and how they coalesce, and what happens when one goes up and the results to the other one. Okay, so make sure you study that reaction. If you want some more information on that, just message me at F45 and on Twitter, and I can certainly help you out with that. Okay. Aussie USD. Here we go. On the daily, so Aussie has been shooting up like a rocket. So in terms of symmetrical markets, you usually have, again, US dollar going down, you'll have euro going up, you'll have GbpUsd going up, you'll have Aussie going up, and things like that. But we've been in a consolidation with US dollar, obviously. EurUsd has been consolidating, GbpUsd has been consolidating, UsCad's been consolidating. Aussie has been, for the most part, consolidating, with the exception of the past 5 days, 6 days, including today, straight up. So great to see. You can see we had these 1, 2, 3 equal lows right there. We just ran that the end of last month, and then price shot straight up. That was last Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, all up candles. Great to see. Just ran this high right here. Now have a look at these two highs right here. I think we're probably going to see them shoot above that. Now, check this out. What do we got coming up this week on Australian dollar? Did anybody see it? I didn't talk about it. We have the Australian dollar interest rate announcement. Doesn't look like they're changing it. If they're not dropping it, they're not increasing it, they're keeping it the same, which I think is going to be par for the course here going forward for most of the currency pairs out there. I don't see any central banks increasing or decreasing rates for the summer. I think this fall, though, depending on what's going to happen there, we could see some movement in those markets. So just FYI, it's going to be status quo going forward. But that being said, if they do keep it the same, and what I'm anticipating is them to quickly run above these highs and then drop. And I don't know how high they're going to go, but I'm looking for this to happen and Aussie to come right back in the middle of this range here. So my eyes are going to be on Aussie. I'm not going to do anything until that interest rate announcement comes out on Tuesday, and that's Tuesday, 12:30 a.m. So basically it is New York 12:30 a.m. At the end of Monday. So going Tuesday morning, 12:30 a.m. Excuse me. So the start of Tuesday trading, we're going to see Aussie probably move. So we'll see where they want to take us. Here it is on the hourly. You can see they've just been running price up into here. So I would anticipate they'll probably stay in this range for most of the day. And then we'll probably shoot up into there on Tuesday for that interest rate announcement, and then possibly run lower if it hasn't already done it. So if it's already done it, if it's already shot up into here, then price is coming back down, and then they have the interest rate announcement, anticipate them to continue lower. And the reason why I'm thinking that as well too is look at what they've done here. Take off the data bars. You can see no major stop runs at all. Price came down here, ran the stops there, and then went up and up and up and up and up and up. But look how they're slowly grinding up. They're just slowly grinding. Every now and then they'll fluctuate price to take anybody who has their stop too close to the market. they're going to come down and run all these out, folks. This is, it's not if, it's when. And I think when is going to be this week. So watch for that. I'm not bullish Aussie. I think we're going to probably run lower. Not going to do anything, though, till after interest rates. Okay. That's all I've got to say on that. I'm going to wrap up here and talk about crude oil very briefly. Gold, I'm going to save those thoughts for my members because there's a juicy trade coming up on gold. I don't want them to miss it, and it's too good to give out for free on this one here. So, sorry guys, if you guys are watching this for free, I'm not going to give you that one. But after it happens, I will talk about it with you guys. Okay, so crude oil, we have just been banging around in this $40, 7 to $40 range here now for the past about close to 20 days. What are we? Well, no, a little bit longer than that, I guess, if you include here. We dipped down, obviously, in here, ran back into this consolidation level, ran up, closed the gap in, as I said would happen, and then we just kind of have been doing nothing since then. So the past 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 days, basically 2 weeks, we've just been trading in this sort of $40 to $37 range. So what are we going to do going forward? Well, certainly, and it was pointed out to me that if you look on the actual futures contract of crude oil, West Texas Intermediate, WTI, there is still a gap that remains above this high rate here into this low. So this is the cash rate for this for WTI or crude light, I guess, and you can see on this chart we have closed this. So I'm not going to bring that up, but I'll let you guys do that in your own study. Bring up a futures chart of the West Texas Intermediate, and I believe we are in September contract. I'm not sure. This is a cash rate. You'd have to don't quote me if I'm wrong. But just go in and figure out which is the front month that we're currently in, and it'll tell you, obviously, and see if there is that gap. So if there is that gap, we could possibly push up and make one more run higher above current price. But I think if it does that, great. I'm not trading it while it's in this range, but I think there's a real good chance, again, we could be running lower on this guy here. And I just wanted to point this out on the 4-hour. Very good chance that they could drop it from here. I've been wrong so far. No, I shouldn't say I've been wrong. I've been right that this gap was going to be filled, but I was wrong after that they were going to drop price off substantially and quickly. We did get 2 straight days down. I was looking for much lower prices, though. I believe, and you can quote me on this, that before prices hit $50, we're going to come back down to 20s. So whether it be low 20s, high teens, or mid 20s, that remains to be seen. But I believe, and I'm going to call it right now, that crude oil slips below $30 before we hit 50. Okay, and I think we're going to get that fairly soon. And when I say fairly soon, I mean like probably into the fall months. September, October, that sort of time frame. And then after that, I'm going to be super bullish on crude oil. But we'll get to that when the time comes. But just keep an eye on this range. Look at these lows under here. They're not coming down and running the stops for a reason. I think they're sucking people in going long, and then eventually they're going to smash this market. And I mean, they're going to smash it hard. Again, it may be a little while from now, so don't quote me on the exact timing on this thing, but you can quote me that they are going to go back lower again, and I know they're going to do it, so it's just a matter of time. Until then, so watch 40.90. If we have any trouble getting below 40.90, that's why I have this level, 36.40 to $37 marked on the chart. I think if we do see any resistance, it'll be at 40.90, and price could run down one more time, possibly sweep these lows, creating a low on the week, and then maybe running higher. I'm going to be looking at this level here. This right now, crude oil, it's kind of like Forex. It's just it's just chopping sideways right now, so it's a little bit tough to tell exactly where it's going to go. And you can see the price action in here, especially for the past 4 or 5 days. Not pretty to trade. This is fairly easy to trade. These moves in here, fairly easy to trade. These moves here. But the past 4 or 5 days has been pretty tough to read. So just go easy on crude oil. But I think there's a good chance we're going to come in here, and then when this does get hit, the high 40s, I'd like to see what happens and then kind of base my trade decision off of that there. So hopefully you guys do the same. That's about all I got to say for this week anyway. It is summer, guys. Again, if you don't have to trade, don't, because it's summer. Take it easy. You know, wait for good setups to come in. Don't overtrade, for God's sakes, especially in the summer, because that's when you blow accounts. That's when you get eaten up. And especially when markets go sideways like this, that is when the tough times come and people give up trading. Don't be one of those people. Take it easy. One trade at a time. Shoot for lower targets, attainable targets, 20, 30, 40 pips. Be happy. Move to the sidelines and wait again. Wait patiently, okay? You don't see me in here firing out, and you can ask my members. I'm not firing out 100 signals a day in the markets. I'm trying to wait for ones that are, you know, very selective, as high probability as we can get in these environments, and then away we go. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Thanks very much for watching, folks, and I will, as always, talk to you guys next Sunday for another weekly review. And for all my members, I will see you guys in the chat room Monday morning. Have a great week of trading, guys. Thank you.